Hello, this is Political Forum, Wednesday, May 20th, 2015. We'd like to welcome our guest today, Alderman Joe Moore from the 49th Ward.
49.
Thank you for appearing today on our show.
Thank you.
My name is Freddie Calixto. I'm a board member here at CAN TV. This is a live interactive program brought to you as a community service by CAN TV. We encourage you to call 312-738-1060 with any questions you have for the alderman. Again, that number is 312-738-1060. So please call us for any questions you have for the alderman, where we'll be discussing the 49th Ward. So let me just throw this out to the alderman right now. I'll give it what is the new things that are happening in the 49th Ward.
Well, Freddie, before I answer that question, why don't we talk a little bit about the ward boundaries, so people
Sure.
who don't know me and don't live in my ward kind of know what part of the city we're talking about.
And I'll put on the overhead.
Yeah, there we are.
That's the map.
It's a little light there, but we are located. The 49th Ward encompasses mainly the Rogers Park community. It is located on the far north side of the city. Lake Michigan serves as my eastern boundary. I border the city of Evanston on the north, and then my southern boundary goes as far south as Devon, and I go as far west. There's Western and Devon, and everything going along with that. So that is the ward, very ethically and racially diverse, and there's my contact information. So for
This
those
is the
of you,
phone number, the ward address, phone number, and webpage.
Yep.
So-
Website ward49.com, and I would encourage anyone who wants to know what's going on in my community to sign up for my electronic newsletter, and that you can just go to the ward49.com, and at the top of the page, on any page on my website, you can enter in your email address, click send, and you get my electronic newsletter, which people really like. They find it very informative. I get a lot of compliments on it. And if for some reason you don't think it's useful, you can always hit that unsubscribe button. But I think you'll find it very useful, whether you live in my ward or you live somewhere else in the city of Chicago.
Great. Well, let's get back to the 49th Ward. What's the newest things happening?
Well,
in
we've
your ward?
got lots of good things going on. You know, Freddie, I've got this event I call Follow Me on Friday. And on Friday, several times a month, I feature a new business or maybe an existing business. And on Fridays from 5 to 7, I have people join me, and the business provides some samples of their food and appetizers. If they have a liquor license, a free drink. And we're doing a Follow Me on Friday this Friday to celebrate the opening of a new store in my community called True Nature Foods. True Nature Foods has teamed up with the Heartland Cafe. Heartland Cafe is a well-established restaurant. It's been in the neighborhood since 1976. And they have merged with True Nature Foods, which used to be located in Edgewater, but has moved to my neighborhood, which I think is a perfect fit. I mean, this is a store that has lots of natural foods, and the foods produced by sustainable farming practices and organic practices, and it has been a very popular business down in Edgewater, and I anticipate it will be here in Rogers Park. So they're going to be occupying what used to be the large dining room at the Heartland Cafe, and the dining room, the restaurant will move into what used to be the gift shop and the Buffalo Bar area, as well as outside during the nice weather. So it's great merger of the two, and so anyone in my neighborhood is welcome to come by on Friday between the hours of 5 and 7 and sample some of the food that True Nature will be offering and that the Heartland Cafe already offers, and help yourself to a free drink. So again, one of the most popular things I do in the neighborhood, and it's a store that's I think a real perfect fit for the Rogers Park community.
Great. Well, thank you for that information. Pretty sure there'll be a lot of people there to learn about that.
We usually get a pretty good turnout.
Good.
We're also going to start our 6th year of our farmers market. This is a farmers market that operates every Sunday morning from the first weekend in June until the end of October. You have farmers from across the area who've grown their food and with sustainable farming practices, and it becomes sort of like a community town square. And so we're going to have our launching of the farmers market on the first Saturday of June. I think it's the 4th, 5th, 6th, June 7th. So I encourage everyone to come by. It's open from 9 until 2 on Glenwood between Morse and Lunt. So just south of where the True Nature grocery store is going to be.
Awesome. We have a caller on the line. Caller, what is your question?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi.
I have a question about, I believe there's a proposed hotel going in across from Loyola on Sheridan Road.
Yes.
A couple things. One, I just want to get your take on it, because I know that area there, that one part of the block has been inhabited for years. And then number two, what's the latest on that? Because I'm concerned if there's going to be a hotel there, about the traffic flow, because I'm busing my kids down Sheridan Road, to school and to baseball practice at Loyola Park. I'm just wondering, is that being taken into consideration as well?
Yeah. Well, thanks for the question. The caller is referring to a hotel that, was proposed, but we've now signed off on it, and it's received all the city approvals. It's going to be a Hampton Inn, and it's going to be located on the southwest corner of Albion and Sheridan, right across the street from Loyola University. There's a vacant lot there now. The hotel is going to be a 140-room hotel, going to service not only people, parents and visiting faculty members and visiting sports teams at Loyola University, but also community residents. Right now, we don't have any hotel between basically downtown Chicago and Evanston. So folks who have people from out of town who come visit people who live in my community have to send their family members or guests to Evanston or to Skokie or if they can afford the high prices, to downtown. What this hotel is going to do is provide a really needed amenity right in the neighborhood. Now, the caller asked about traffic and concerns, and we had the Department of Transportation and a private traffic engineering firm analyze the impact that hotel would have on the area, and they found that it would add less than 1% of the traffic that you currently see in the area. And we've provided for plenty of off-street parking for the hotel. So we believe that the impact on traffic will be minimal, but at the same time, we're going to bring in a lot of folks from out of town who obviously will be spending some of their dollars in the stores and the restaurants in the immediate area. The hotel itself won't have a restaurant, so those dollars are going to be spent locally owned businesses, which will benefit the community, as well as, of course, as providing the needed amenities. So I want to just assure the caller and everyone else calling that we've looked at this and we see very minimal impact, if any impact, adversely to the hotel, to the traffic around the hotel.
Great. Good question, caller. We have another call on the line. Caller, what is your question?
Yeah, I know that you're a big proponent of participatory budgeting, which
Yes.
I think is pretty cool, but I was wondering if with the new session and a bunch of new aldermen coming in, do you think it's going to become a lot more common practice, in other words?
Oh, that's a great question. The call is referring to something I call participatory budgeting, which is a process that in which you take a certain percentage of a government budget and turn it over to the people to decide by popular vote how that money is spent. In other words, elected officials like me are kind of taken out of the process. I mean, we help guide it, but ultimately the people decide. Each alderman in the city of Chicago gets $1.3 million to spend at their discretion on capital projects in the neighborhood, infrastructure. And rather than me decide how I spend the money, I turn it over to my people. And so there's about an 8-9 month process where community residents come up with project ideas, how to spend the money, vet those ideas, research them, share those ideas with their neighbors, get input. We also take proposals or requests that come through my office for improvements to streets or sidewalks. And ultimately, the community residents who volunteer in this process come up with a series of proposals. And then we have a neighborhood-wide, ward-wide election that anyone who lives in Rogers Park who's age 16 years or older, so we dropped the voting age from 18 to 16, they're given an opportunity to vote on those projects. We just had our most recent participatory budgeting election earlier in the month, late April, last weekend of April. We had over 1,800 people participate. They voted on such projects as new trees. 100 new trees are going to be planted in the neighborhood, new bus benches, a new kids soccer field, and one of our local parks. About 60% of the budget is going to be devoted to resurfaced streets and alleys and sidewalks. So both basic infrastructure as well as some creative things. Now the caller asked about whether other wards are doing it.
Right.
Actually, there are two other wards right now doing it. Alderman Munoz in the 22nd ward in the city's Little Village area, and then Alderman Arena in the northwest side in the 45th ward is doing it as well. I have literally met with just about every new alderman. We've got 13 new aldermen, and there are a lot of new aldermen who are very excited about this project. They campaigned on bringing it to their communities. So I think participatory budgeting is going to expand big time next year as more and more aldermen agree to take on this process. It's really the wave of the future, getting people more involved in the civic life of their community, giving them real power, not just having a whole meeting and listening to them and saying you'll do whatever you want them to and then doing whatever you want to as a politician, but giving them real power. I really believe in community empowerment, and this is the ultimate example of community empowerment.
Great call. Great question, caller. We have another caller on the line.
Sure.
Caller, what is your question?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi. I see there's one Divi station around the neighborhood. Are you going to introduce more around the area?
Oh, Divi stations. Yes. We thank you for that. These are great questions.
Yes.
All things that I love to talk about. What the caller is referring to are the Divi bikes. The bikes that you pay that are located in the downtown area now and near North Side and other close-in neighborhoods. They're now expanding them citywide. In Rogers Park, which was on the far north side, has just gotten 7, not 1, but 7 new Divi bike stations where people can, pay a small membership fee, get the opportunity to ride a bike, and then when they're done riding it, they return it. So they don't have to buy their own bike, they can use the Divi bikes. And we have stations strategically located so you can ride your bike from one station to the next, get off, do your shopping, go to a movie, whatever you're doing, get on the bike and ride back home. You don't have to deal with public transportation, you don't have to drive. And in the nice weather in particular, it's a great mode of transportation. Well, we've got 7. They are located in various locations. One's at Sheridan and Greenleaf, one's at Clark and Columbia, one's at Toohey and Ridge, one's at down by Loyola University. I'm sorry I don't have all the locations here, but if you go to the Divi Bike website, they have all the locations, not just in Rogers Park, from across other parts of the city. So far, we've expanded up to Toohey Avenue. The plan is to go north of Toohey Avenue to include all of Rogers Park. We're just waiting for Governor Rauner to release the funding, and once he does, we'll be able to install, I believe, 6 or 7 more Divi stations north of Toohey to the city border. So now all of Chicago's north side will be covered with Divi bike stations from Chicago all the way down to the Loop. And I know the city's also expanding westward and southward as well.
Great question. We have another caller. Caller, what's your question?
Embarrass you.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, Alderman.
Good evening.
What about have more oversight in terms of Chicago Police Department? I hope you're familiar with the Stingray equipment. Would the Chicago Police have a loan from a federal agency where they could listen to citizens' phone calls, especially people that are protesting, how they could track them and listen in? If the city council plan on doing much more in terms of oversight, because people's civil liberties are being taken advantage of.
Well, we always want to protect people's civil liberties, and we need to balance that with making sure that citizens are safe. But you should only use surveillance methods when there is with approval of a judge, when there is an absolute necessity for it. So clearly, we need to make sure that the police department or any law enforcement agency, whether city, state, or federal, is listening in on conversations only when there is probable cause to do so. That there's a probable cause, a belief that a person may be engaged in illegal activity, whether it's a potential terrorist activity or some other kind of illegal activity. So the particular matter that the caller brought up, I'm not very familiar with. I'd like to find out more, and if the caller would like would do me a favor and call my ward office at 773. There's the number, 773-338-5796. I would be happy to, or email me at that email address, ward49@cityofchicago.org. I would be more than happy and indeed eager to look into this.
Thank you, caller, for that question. We don't have another caller on the line.
Oh, okay.
No, okay.
No callers. All right.
So just
That's cool. I know there's, I just want to bring up one thing because I know that the social site Every Block, someone submitted a question there,
Yes.
and we want to respond to every question. And there, the question had to do with a Noble school, Noble charter school, and the possibility that they might open a new school in Rogers Park. Noble has a very excellent record. The existing schools they have all rank in the top 10 of non-selective high schools in the city of Chicago, so they do a great job. They have responded to a request for proposals put out by the Chicago Board of Education, Chicago Public Schools, a while back, and they listed Rogers Park of one of several communities on the north side that they may locate a new school. They have not come up with a specific site. They're looking at several communities, and I will certainly keep people informed if they decide that they want to. They're proposing a location in the Rogers Park community, and we will certainly examine that proposal with an eye toward making sure that we protect our current local neighborhood schools. Sullivan High School, for example, has really been making really great, steady progress under leadership of a dynamic young principal named Chad Adams. And Principal Adams needs all the support from the community, and my office provides him a lot of support. We're working on some really innovative ideas to make Sullivan a real destination high school, and we want to make sure that those efforts are not undermined. On the other hand, we do know that I do know that Noble offers a really quality education for a lot of students, and I want to make sure that all families have choices. But until you get a specific proposal, I'm not going to make a final judgment, and indeed, it's not even clear ultimately that Noble will be locating in Rogers Park. So to the person who's submitted that request on Every Block, rest assured that as soon as they make if and when they make a proposal about a location in Rogers Park, we're going to have a full community discussion and process, and I will listen to all points of view and take those points of view under consideration when I make a final recommendation to the Board of Education.
Great. Thank you for that caller. Thank you for that question, caller. We have another caller on the line.
I
What
knew
is
we'd
your
get
question?
another one.
Yes. Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, hi. How you doing?
Well, how are you tonight?
I'd like to know what is your plans on doing for the gangbangers in your ward, like down on Howard. But you did an excellent job for us around there more for us cleaning up the gangbangers. So what is your suggestion for us when it get warm up and for us the violence and the shooting around there?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. We have made considerable progress over the last dozen years in really tamping down the violence in the neighborhood and the shootings. We did have a spike in them last summer, and we are continuing to work with our police department to engage in innovative patrolling, to prevent those shootings from occurring. The police have their ear to the ground when there are, right now, a lot of the shootings are a result of a lot of taunting and on the social media. The social media has become sort of a new forum for instigating violence, and so the police are monitoring that. And when they see a sign of violence, they think it's going to occur in a certain area, they step in with additional patrols. But you know what? Policing is only one part of the solution to this. We need to provide opportunities and hope for young people. We just had a job fair last week in my ward. Twice a year we have a job fair where we bring in dozens of potential employers to the community and get the word out to people throughout the neighborhood, particularly young people, people who need help, need a job, make sure that they are productive members of society. And every time we have a job fair, we have literally dozens of people who are able to find jobs, some of them pretty good paying jobs. So connecting people with jobs is one aspect. Education is another. That's why I'm really proud of the work that our local schools have done. All of our schools are on an upward track. Many of them have moved from a level 3 to a level 2, and some even to a level 1 school. Level 1, of course, being the highest level. We've got some excellent high schools in our community that are helping to give our young people a good education, because ultimately that's a success. Kids who are in school, who get degrees, who get a job, those aren't the kids that are causing all the gang banging. Those aren't the kids that are creating crime problems for our community. And so we have to reach out to those young people who right now don't feel that they have a future, and get them into alternative high schools, get them into vocational education, so that they see that there is a different way than life on the streets. So policing is one aspect of it, but jobs and education and economic opportunity are another part of it as well.
Great. Thank you for that question, caller. Can you tell us about your current committee that you're chairing now?
Yep, absolutely. I just today was honored by my colleagues in the City Council, who voted to name me the chairman of the City Council Committee on Housing and Real Estate. And housing is a big issue in the Rogers Park community. We have a lot of multifamily housing units. We have a lot of need for affordable housing. And I think this committee will give me a real opportunity to help the families in my community and families throughout the city, to provide them with real affordable housing opportunities. So I'm looking forward to this committee. It's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of hard work. It's a large committee, but it's also a committee that is incredibly important. So anyone who has any housing issues or concerns, feel free to reach out to me. And those who are we have a lot of activists who are concerned about putting into place laws that will help create more affordable housing and preserve the affordable housing that we have. I'm ready to stand with them to do that.
Great. Well, like every time we have this show, the time flies. So
It
we're
does.
already
Do we
wrapping
have any
up.
more calls? I thought we might have another call.
We don't have any
no
callers.
Good.
But why don't you tell us about things that are happening in the ward, like the treasure swap?
Oh, yes. I wanted to thank you for asking me that question as well. Coming up on June 13th and 14th is our annual Trash to Treasure swap. It's taking place at the Chicago Math and Science Academy at 7230, I believe, North Clark, just across from Tweed Park. What that is essentially is it's like a garage sale, except you don't spend any money. You bring on Saturday the 13th, you bring all of your stuff that you don't want anymore. You clean out your garage, your basement, your attic, bring stuff you don't want anymore, and we organize it and put it in different categories, and then you get a ticket for each item you get, and then the next day you use those tickets to buy an item that someone else left. So, theoretically, you can go bring a chia pet in on Saturday, get a ticket, and come back the next day and buy a TV. We've had stuff like that happen. So it's called a Trash to Treasure swap. It takes place Saturday the 13th and 14th, Sunday the 14th in Rogers Park. at the Chicago Math and Science Academy, located just about 2 blocks north of Toohey Avenue. And we're also going to have paper shredding and electronics recycling there on that Saturday date between 9 and 3 o'clock.
Great. Here's the information for the Alderman's office again. If you want to reach him at his office, here it's the information. His website is also on there and his email. Thank you, Alderman, for being here with us.
Well, thank
callers,
you.
Thank you for the great questions.
There we go.
Thank you for the great questions. We've had a great show. We're just wrapping it up.
Yep. And anyone who wants to get my electronic newsletter, go to ward49.com and sign up for it.